Okay, everyone, it's 3 o'clock on Thursday, and it's time for Dorchester 2 Live PD. Today, we have Microsoft Teams, Rubrics, and feedback. Let's take a look at some other important information. In today's session, teachers will learn how to create, add, and reuse rubrics with assignments. Teachers will also learn how to utilize a feedback loop with their students. If you're a Dorchester 2 Microsoft Team user, you'll definitely benefit from this session today. And let's take a look at our live PD team. We have lead presenter, Dr. Kristen Tyner. Thanks for being here today and being our featured presenter. She's there with co-presenter, Rebecca Blacklock. Thanks to our producer, Mark Meyer, and our awesome Q&A moderators that will be taking all of your questions today, Anna Musselman, Marie Connolly, and Alyssa Feudali. Thank you so much for taking care of that. Remember, as the attendee, you do not need a microphone or a webcam. Only the presenters share audio and video, and you will use the Q&A feature to ask questions. Some people often ask, why didn't I see my question posted? We only post the questions that are for the good of the group. So if you ask a personal question or provide some feedback, we just dismiss those for you to see only. The big question of the day, your certification credits. How do you get that added to ERO? So let's be sure we all listen in on this part. Super important. Number one, please be sure you are signed into your device. Your login identifies you and allows us to easily award tech and renewal credit. So even if you didn't sign up in ERO for this particular live session, that's okay. We're going to capture everyone's name because it's the way you're logged into your device. So if on your phone you are logged in to your O365 account, then we know who you are. If you're on your laptop, you're logged in as yourself, we'll know exactly who you are. And by joining the live PD, you automatically register in ERO. So there's no quiz afterwards for this. You just have to participate from beginning to end. You come in a few minutes late, it's okay, but we do look for people who are participating, joining, and participating all the way through. You do earn 1 hour of both technology and renewal credit for your participation today. And you'll receive that credit in ERO within 48 hours of the completion of the webinar. I can't tell you how many emails I've gotten today saying I did the PD yesterday. When is my credit going to show up? And with thousands of these credits to give out for various sessions happening all the time, we definitely need some time because we manually have to put those into the system. So please give us at least 48 hours for these live PD sessions to make sure that we give you your credit. You don't have to contact us. Just be checking your schedule. If 48 hours passes from this point and you're still wondering where your credit is, then you can reach out, but give us some time to get those into ERO. Again, there's no quiz if you are participating in a live session. Okay, so what if you missed the live session, but you heard it was awesome? We have a lot of people that loved the immersive reader session that took place yesterday. So if you didn't get a chance to check it out or any one of our on-demand trainings, all you have to do is visit us at the Microsoft team. It's called DD2 Online PD. We have it imaged here on the screen. And you select up at the top menu, on-demand trainings. At that point, that's where you can select one of those recordings, watch the recording all the way through. Typically, the quizzes are embedded at the very end if you watch the video all the way through, although sometimes you do have to select interactive to see the quiz if it doesn't come up automatically. If you ever have any trouble viewing one of the videos, please try changing your browser. We've noticed some people having a little bit of trouble viewing through Chrome versus Firefox. So Firefox seems to be working just fine, but again, if you're having a problem in a particular browser viewing a video, try a new browser to see if that helps. Hope you're enjoying those online PDs. We see a lot of people taking advantage of those. All right, so for today, make sure you've got a good internet connection. The quality of streaming and audio, your audio and video may depend on that internet connection. So be sure you have a hardline internet connection or a really good strong Wi-Fi signal, or it might sound a little choppy. And as always, all session participants are registered to win a $10 gift card, thanks to Dorchester 2 and the Staff Development Department. Thank you for providing those. We'll choose that winner at the very end of our session today. So good luck to all of you. And of course, if you attend all 3 sessions this week on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you enter in the drawing to win a $25 gift card, thanks to Canty Technology. So we'll see who this week's winner is. And congratulations to Derek Ayers from Somerville High School. He attended all 3 sessions last week, and he was the winner of the Canty Technology $25 Amazon gift card. And Derek, if you're listening today, I didn't forget about you. I'm going to send it out today, right after this session. We're super excited that you're here, and the live PD session will begin shortly. Let's take a look at what's happening today and what's coming up next for our live PD session at 3 o'clock. So today we've got Dr. Kristen Tyner. She's with us with Microsoft Teams, Rubrics, and Feedback. Tomorrow, we have a bonus day. You're like, what? You're doing this on Friday? I know. I was surprised too, but we are. And so 3 o'clock tomorrow, we've got OneNote notebooks. Following that, next week, when we come back on Tuesday, because we've got the day off, so Tuesday, we have interactive flat panel, post-install checklist. We've got lots of schools where you've already got that IFP, the interactive flat panel, the new smartboard up on your wall. And we've got some tips and tricks to going through that checklist to be sure everything's working just like you would expect it to. We also have Go Guardian, that student device management software. We'll have a live PD session on that on the 27th. We have Unified Classroom coming to you on the 28th. Maybe many of our middle and high school teachers are very used to navigating and utilizing lots of the features in Unified Classroom, especially some of the communication components. And if it's new to you in whatever level, especially elementary, you'll definitely want to check that one out. And we just added this session. It's hot off the press. Everybody keeps asking us, how do you get those quizzes embedded at the end of your PD video recordings? That's so awesome. I want to do it too for my students. So Patrick Dunn's going to do it for you on May 29th. He's going to do Microsoft Video Stream. So if you've heard of Stream and you want to know what is that all about, how do we get our videos to show up like that, kind of the behind the scenes of how we get that to happen, so you too can do that for your teachers. All right, well, that's it from me. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kristen, and she'll be sharing again today Microsoft Teams, Rubrics, and Feedback. Kristen, it's all you.
Hey everyone, thanks for coming to the DD2 live PD today about rubrics and feedback. I'm excited to share this with you. Thanks for Shelly for the introduction, and the producers and my Q&A moderators that are working in the background. answering those questions behind the scenes. So I'm excited to discuss ways that Microsoft Teams empowers teachers to provide feedback to students. Research shows us that student learning occurs through a process of drafting, reflecting, incorporating feedback, and submitting revisions to their work. So if we can treat assessing student work as a cyclical process rather than that one-time event, you get the grade and move on, students benefit from that. So each of you has your own approach to grading assignments and providing feedback to students. Using rubrics and the feedback features in Teams can help support that approach. And the assignments tab in Teams is built around this iterative feedback loop, which allows for authentic measurement of student learning. So iteration is the repetition of a process in order to generate a sequence of desired outcomes. That's that official definition. And we want to give students specific feedback often enough that they achieve that desired outcome of mastering the standards. So like lather, rinse, repeat, student practice, feedback, repeat, student practice, feedback, repeat. So you can use the feedback cycle for many, many different activities and assignments in your classroom. Research projects, essays, presentations, performance assessments. It is a wonderful way to ensure that each student receives coaching from you throughout the course of the project and not just at the end. You can set up specific deadlines for students to submit drafts, or you can allow students to submit for review at any time. So I was a writing teacher and I was constantly trying to provide students with specific frequent feedback on their writing, but it's just very challenging to keep up with all the amount of students and the feedback and assessing the writing. It takes time. Unfortunately, Teams cannot grade writing for you yet, but it does provide an organization structure for you and the student. So hopefully you can shave a few seconds off grading and assessing, and all those seconds add up, and hopefully you'll gain some time back. So I'm going to start with looking at an assignment that doesn't actually have a rubric attached to it, but you can provide feedback even if you have not attached a assignment. So if you look at, I've selected this assignment called argumentative writing. And if you notice, my students have not turned it in. One feature I like about Teams is the near inability of students not to lose work. And I say near inability because I feel like with students, anything's possible. So even if students don't turn in the assignment, if you've created the assignment where you've attached a document, you can see the progress and provide feedback. So when I created the assignment, I'm going to show you what I did. I'm going to edit the assignment so you can see that what I did is, so I created the assignment and I attached a resource. I just added a resource, and you can do this even if you're not attaching a document that's created already. I attach a new file and you can attach a Word document, and all I did was call a blank document, "Are Animals Smart?" They had to pick a side and argue it. So I've attached it here. And I've seen that Sarah viewed it, but she hasn't turned it in. But I can look at what she's got so far. And so she has put a lot of work in so far. It looks pretty done, but let's say she'd only written a paragraph so far. I can still give her feedback on that. And when I was talking about the inability to not lose work, or in middle school, we kind of struggle with kids turning stuff in. So if you've attached a document and they've written 3 sentences, or if they've written 1 paragraph, my principal would say, a 20 is better than nothing. So you grade what they've given you, and hopefully they finish it and turn it in, but at least they had, like I said, a 20 is better than a 0. So I'm going to look and provide feedback to Sarah's work though. And just disclaimer, this isn't actually Sarah's work. This is a student example from TDA. If you Google argumentative writing TDA examples, this is one of the first things that pops up. So I think her intro is really good and she has a claim. So I'm going to post that. I'm going to insert a comment. Your introduction introduces a claim. Good job. And Sarah can see that in real time. Oh. Or she can see it asynchronously as I'm when she comes back into work on her document. And I can come back over here and decide to add another comment if I need to as she works on it. So this is something that you can do if you're working on an essay and it's not due yet. You can come in here and add comments and the students can resolve them and take your feedback without you ever putting a grade in there. And they'll see them without returning the document, but returning it to them gives them a notification. So if I don't return it to them, they don't know that I put a comment in there unless I verbally tell them if we're in the classroom together. When Sarah comes to finish her essay, she'll see the comments. But if I return it, she'll get a notification that I've returned the assignment. And I can return it without a grade and she can turn it back into me. So I'm going to just give her some feedback right now that says, see my comments and revise as necessary. And I'm going to return it without a score. And then hopefully she turns it back into me and with the edits. If she doesn't, I can always come back to it later, grade what she has, and put it in the grade, the grade here. So that's how to provide feedback on a Word document. Even if you haven't attached a rubric, you can attach comments and directly into the document, and you can provide feedback here. So you can see that's where she sees the feedback. So I want to create a rubric, or I want to create an assignment that uses a rubric. So you're going to navigate to the assignment channel or tab and create an assignment. And I'm going to call this assignment muscle fatigue graph. And they're going to draw a graph. And I've given them a sheet of paper. I'm going to attach a resource that has more directions on it. Be sure to follow the rubric. So I'm going to add a resource here. I'm going to go to our class notebook where I've created the handout. The content library. It's in Science tab. And there's my muscle fatigue graph, and I'm attaching it. And this part is extra for the notebook. Where do you want it to go in the student section? I want it to go to the science section. And it's going to go to each student, and each student's going to edit their own copy. Okay, and I'm going to make this worth 100 points. And I'm going to create a rubric. So I'm going to select new rubric, and I'm going to call it a line graph rubric. And this is a checklist for evaluating line graphs. And you know, a checklist is just a rubric without points, so I'm going to add points to it. And this is my across the hall neighbor gave this example to me, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Stephanie Glenn, for this sharing this rubric with me. Okay, so what I like about Teams is it's going to give you option to really edit and make these rubrics your own, and do a lot of different. You have a lot of different options here. So I'm going to remember to turn on points so I can award points to students. And like I said, we're going to start with the rubric, and I want my title to be worth 10. And I don't think there's needs to be 4 categories, so I'm going to delete one of the categories, and I'm going to make this worth 10 points, and this worth 0 points, and this worth 5 points. Okay, so you have a clear, concise title that follows capitalization rules. Attempts a title, no title. So I'm going to change actually these. So excellent, evident, attempted, and missing or incomplete. Okay, so the title's worth 10% points, but I'm going to create another row, and I'm going to say, okay, my line graph also needs an x-axis correctly labeled, including 10 units. And I'm going to leave this so it's either evident, attempted, or is missing or complete. And that's more important. So I'm going to add that as 10. And then this, if I have an x-axis, I need to have a y-axis. So I'm going to leave that as y. And then that is also worth 10 points. And I'm going to just duplicate this again as I'm creating each row. And the next one is the x-axis. Is subdivided into scale, and that's 15 points. And that's the y-axis, and that's 15 points. Thanks for sticking with me. Data is summarized in a sentence. So that's the last thing. Thank you for your patience. Okay. So I've got this all entered in, and it didn't take me that long. I just want to make sure it is in correctly. Okay, so I have several categories, and they're not all equal. If I wanted to make sure that they were equal, I could evenly redistribute weights, and it would evenly distribute amongst the others. But I like how I have the option of weighting them different weights, because some things are more important than others when you're assessing. So just make sure that this is worth 100 points. So that's 30, that's 60, 75, 85, 100. So perfect. So I'm going to attach. And now I'm going to, it's due tomorrow. I can schedule a due date and a close date, which will accept late work. So I'm going to accept late work and assign. And then if I wanted to assign to other classes, I would just have to come here. I don't have other classes because, but your classes will be listed here and you can select to assign. So I'm going to click assign. And there it shows up for students. And if I click on it, we can see what the student sees. And you can see that they see draw a graph, be sure to follow the rubric, and then there is the copy of their rubric that they will see. So they have it to refer to. And then you can also see the assignment. So that's where I listed the assignments. The students are going to complete a selected exercise for at least five trials and then record the number of reps. So for 1 minute, they did 30 push-ups. In 2 minutes, they did 45 push-ups, and they're going to graph it and make sure that they have all those requirements that that I asked for. And what's great about Notebook, besides a Word document in this situation, remember our student devices are going to be touch screens, so they'll be able to actually draw on the Notebook and turn that in, and we'll be able to submit it and see. Okay, so what if I wanted to reuse a assignment that a rubric I've already made? So I used that line graph rubric. It took me some time. I can reuse that rubric. So I'm going to go back to assignments and create a new assignment. Because if I remember correctly, line graphs are very difficult. Evaluating graphs is a standard in ELA, in math, in science, and social studies, and students have a hard time interpreting graphs. So we want to give them as much practice as possible. So this one's going to be the race car graph. The same thing, they're going to draw a graph. They're going to record their data and draw the graph. Be sure to follow the rubric. Okay, I'm going to add that resource. Add my points and add the rubric. So what's going to populate is a list of rubrics that I've already have. So I'm going to select this one, select the line graph rubric that I used previously. It gives me the opportunity to edit it. So let's say I felt like I wanted to redistribute some points, and I wanted to make the data summary and the analysis a little bit more worth more. So I'm going to make that 10 points or 20 points, and I'm going to come and make the title only worth 5 points or 5%. And it will redistribute that as long as it's worth 100, and that doesn't affect previous assignments, but it does give me the flexibility to reuse a graph, or reuse a rubric. I don't have to do the work again, but I can adjust it as I need to, and it just creates a copy of the graph or of the rubric for me. So I've attached it. I've picked the class I wanted to assign it to, I pick the due date, and I assign. Great. So right now, I've wonder why that didn't show up. Did I not click a class assigned to? Okay. So what if you already have a rubric that you have in Word and in PDF and Excel? You're definitely able to import, add those. So let me show you how to do that. You're going to create another assignment. And this one's going to be the steel drums fall performance. And I'm not going to add instructions right now, but I'm going to make this out of 100 and I'm going to add a rubric. Now, you may think when this populates, you'll see, oh, I can upload a rubric. Unfortunately, that's not what that really means. I'll circle back to that at the end, but you cannot upload a Word document or a PDF. It won't import. But I do have an example right here that my steel drums teacher shared with me, and I'm just going to show you how you can quickly take this and copy and paste it over. That's the best option we have right now. So this is his individual student performance rubric that he has shared with me. Okay, and he's got the 4 T's: technique and tone, timing and tune. So I am going to copy and paste from Word, and you cannot right click and copy and paste into this rubric, but you can Control-V, and that posts it there for you to see. So I'm going to type it right there so you can see. So Control+V at the same time. If you've copied something, you can paste it directly in it if right clicking is not an option. I've got to turn on points. And he made this out of 25 points, 20 points, 15 points, and 10 points. So I just want to clarify, you can't put a range in here, you have to put a whole number. But if you wanted to, you could say excellent and put excellent 25 to 21, and then you can pick that number. But we're just going to leave it like this for right now: excellent, good, fair, and poor. So I'm going to copy again quickly and then Control-V into the box. And I've pasted it in there. And I'm going to just copy and paste, or copy each category. I'm not going to paste all the rest of them. You get the idea. Tone, timing, and tune. And then each are worth 25 points or 25%, and we're going to attach. So that's how you copy and paste a rubric over if you've already have it. Like I said, you can't import right now, but you are able to just copy and paste relatively easily. So, and I just want to point out that is a rubric from a performance. I recommend, or you considering using a rubric even if they're not turning in something into directly into Teams, because when in PowerSchool, they're going to get that grade. Even if you graded them on the rubric, they might not know how that grade came about. So if you create the assignment in Teams and attach that rubric, you can grade them on the rubric and the students will see what they need to work on. So I can go here to the assignment if I wanted to grade work, even if they haven't turned it in. So no work attached, and because this was a performance that I wanted to give feedback on. So the student was using proper technique, and I can go over here to the drop down and I go to tone, and they did really well on tone, but not excellent. And then timing was excellent. And then tune, maybe we need to work on tune, and we put fair. And then they can come back into on their side and see the feedback. Another way to look at this is, I'm going to show you a different way so we can actually look at something with feedback. I've asked for an assignment and we've turned it in, so we're going to grade some more assignments. So Patrick's turned in his road not taken short response. So let's look at that. Thanks, Patrick, for turning it in. So he wrote future time on he was supposed to select one topic, respond in a paragraph, and we're going to give some feedback. And he demonstrated exceptional analysis of the text and skill for writing. Another way to look at that, I clicked on the TDA right here, and you can look at each category, but another way to do that, if you just prefer, if you're a more global thinker, if you click on the little arrow, it pops out automatically. Okay, and then that way you can see it all at the same time, and you can provide feedback into each of the categories. So Patrick, you need to provide more evidence, including in-text citations. And you're done. So the student view of that, I also graded another student's. The student view of what that feedback looks like is, she sent me some screenshots. Thank you, Sarah. So Sarah gets this. It looks so almost very similar to what I see. She's going to get that when I return her work to her. She's going to get that feedback. She's going to be able to click on the rubric and see exactly what she needs to work on. She can see here I provided feedback about the citations, and I could provide feedback on every single one of these criteria if I needed to. So let me go back one time to this again and draw your attention to this. So I'm in the little box with the arrow, and you may have noticed this, download as a CSV. Now, this does not provide a Excel document or a download of Sarah's grade. It just gives me a CSV of the rubric. But remember, I told you we'd circle back to rubrics. So I can download this. So like I said, it doesn't download Sarah's grade. If a parent had a question about the grade or a student, I think a screenshot is prettier than this CSV anyway. And then you can always direct them to show them how they actually check it in Teams. But if you needed to take a screenshot of it, I think that looks better than the CSV anyway. So I've downloaded this. Now, this TDA rubric comes from the SC Ready TDA response. And that is a really long rubric, and I don't want to have to copy that multiple times. And that's great because Teams lets me reuse rubrics, but I also don't want to have to have my team members do it, because the SE Ready rubric is probably something a lot of ELA teachers are going to use. So if I've downloaded this, I can take it and email it to my PLC, and then they themselves can create a rubric or upload that rubric to their assignments. So if you've created a rubric that you want to share and you've already put it in Teams, you can share that rubric with your fellow PLC, your PLC. You just add a rubric. Any one of these, you can see it. And you click upload, and it says you can upload any CSV file that's been downloaded from Teams. So you have to create the rubric in Teams, download it, share it with your people that you want to share it with, and then they upload it again. You cannot, it can't just be a plain CSV. So you choose from the files. There's my TDA rubric. It's uploaded and I select next. It lets me edit it. That it does not change mine. So if I wanted to add more criteria, I can redistribute criteria. It does not affect the person that shared this with me. And it doesn't again, like I said before, you can edit this even if you're using a copy, and it doesn't affect previous assignments. So you can reuse this and reuse this and reuse this. Especially in ELA, or at least I know from my own experience in ELA, sometimes when we do writing assignments, we come back to then the next writing assignment, we're using the same rubric, but we might need to we were focusing on transitions. This writing assignment, the next transitions, or the next assignment, we're focusing on content more. So you can adjust the weightings without having to adjust the actual material that's in the boxes. So then attach, and so that's how you would share the assignment. So I have shown how to create an assignment, or how to create a rubric, how to copy and paste a rubric, how to reuse a rubric, and then how to share and upload one from a friend. So I think that this is a great resource for us to provide feedback to students, and but I'm about done unless there's any questions.
All right, Kristen. Well, yeah, we do have some questions, and sounds echoing. Here we go. Once again, a big thank you to our Q&A team. They did a great job fielding all of those questions that were kind of coming in. But just a quick question that a teacher had about adding another rubric that they had already created as a resource. That's something that you can always do. The benefit of this one that you're showing is that it's offered exclusively by Teams, and it is synced to PowerSchool if that's a thing, and it helps with grading, right?
Yes, so I agree. I have seen this in the past where you just create the assignment and you want to add the paper rubric. So I did that right there. You can see the rubric. But the benefit to that is, like, the kids can refer to this rubric, but if I use the rubric, I create the rubric directly in Teams, I can make sure when I pick, Teams basically does the math for me. It calculates the grade. It syncs to PowerSchool, and then students see where they lost points. Because if you're just attaching this document, there's no guarantee that the students are looking at it. And unless you're going in and like highlighting that this is the score you got on this, and then this is the score you got on that, or circling it, students aren't getting that feedback in the same way as they would if you're using the rubric that's built into Teams.
Right. And I know for me, if it does the math for me, that's always a good thing. So if I was a teacher, do you think it would be a good idea maybe at the beginning of the year to like create a couple of rubrics that I can always use as a general practice, just maybe a general rubric that I can always use with multiple assignments?
Yes. I think a generic rubric would be very helpful and something that you can reuse over and over again. I'm all about not, having to recreate the wheel every single time. That's why it does give you a option to reuse rubrics in Teams. So you always have the option to like select there's a list of rubrics that I've created and they're all here. And I can reuse them. And let's say you're done with them for some reason, you don't want them ever again, you can delete them. It doesn't unattach from the from previous assignments. Rubrics attached to assignments will remain attached. It doesn't mess up any of your assignments, but you can say you're done. But you just want to keep them in case you ever need them again. Or complete, in progress, incomplete, something simple like that would allow, like, it's very generic that you can just give credit for students for getting their work done. And then you can provide written feedback if you need to into the criteria. But yeah, it'd be great. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, we had a lot of comments about students accidentally hitting the submit button kind of early on. We know that's the thing; kids will click it, multiple times. Can you show how the students are able to resubmit? Like, is there a way that when I'm creating the assignment, I can set a date? Like, hey, I'll take resubmissions up into this date.
I think you can, when you are setting your when you are setting the date, so you can do a due date and then allow late turn-ins, that's when you can resubmit to. So you can make it to where they can turn it in for like a week late or something. But if they've done it, like if it's due on Friday and they've submitted it, they worked on it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I guess they could hit resubmit as many times as they want up until the day you cut it off.
Right, and then as a teacher, if I looked and they forgot to attach something, I could send it back to them.
Yes, and that always gives you a history. You always get that history in when you've graded it. When you look at the returned, you can see that view history over here. I've assigned it, Sarah viewed it, she turned it in, and I returned it. And if this happened multiple times, you would just see the feedback loop here. So she could turn it in, I could turn it back to her and tell her to work on it some more, return to student, and it will go back to her with my feedback telling her to work on it.
Kristen, if you want, since I'm a student in your class and you showed my work, I can go ahead and show what it looks like on the student end if you want.
Oh, great. That'd be great.
So let me take over the screen real quick.
Awesome.
And I'll show you, got you down here in my hidden teams. So I'll jump into the assignment here and you can see that that one's past due, I guess, for me. So that's good for students. They can see that. I'm going to go to this completed one, the RNT short response that I did in Microsoft OneNote. So what students have is they have a button right here that says undo turn in. So I could actually click that, and then that gives me the ability to unlock and re-edit the assignment that I submitted in. I don't know how long it's going to take, but
I'm glad my computer's not the only one that's running slowly. Thank you, Patrick.
So I was trying to showcase that you can use the draw feature and write, although I had a mouse, so that didn't work very well.
That's a great feature. When we have student devices, I think it will be very beneficial to students.
So we'll just put something short in there. The road is where people drive. And then I can close that. It still says it's working on locking, but it seemed to work, and I can turn that right back in. My little rocket ship.
Oh, nice.
There you go. So that's how students, they get the little undo turn in button, as long as it's not past the due date. So the due date is set. I don't see a due date on this one.
It's due tomorrow, it says.
Okay. So,
yeah.
Yep, to the due tomorrow. So I can edit that one. Yep. All right. Well, I just wanted to show that real quick.
Yeah, thank you for showing that side. Yeah. Sometimes it's very hard. We don't see the other side of it. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Patrick, for giving us that student view. Kristen, another question about the rubrics that was asked was, can you have multiple rubrics attached to an assignment? Like, say, for instance, if I was a theater teacher, I wanted a rubric attached to one assignment that I gave, and I had a rubric for performance and maybe one for reflection. Could I do that, or is that not possible?
I don't think you cannot add more than one rubric. I think that the two options you have are, if you're going to do a reflection, either make it 2 assignments and have a performance assignment with a rubric and a reflection assignment with a rubric, or you have 1 assignment and in your rubric you have the 2 sections, performance and reflection.
Perfect. So I got 2 more things for you, Kristen. You ready? I'm going to make you put on your
Yes.
your thinking cap, your root. So there's been a lot of questions about what do you do? What's the best practice for absent students? What would you do as a classroom teacher if, say, Patrick, as a student, he was absent on that day? How would I handle an absent student? They want to make up their assignment after the due date. Let's say it was due Friday. Patrick was absent Friday. What would you do for him?
I think you can copy the assignment. Yes, I'm going to take back the screen. What you can do is, if you go to assignments, I think you can create from existing. And let's say my R&T short response, and then reassign it to that recreate that assignment. It's going to populate in just a second, and then just assign it to that student. So maybe, Mark, you were absent and I've assigned it. I can assign it directly to you.
Perfect.
You can always go, yeah, and you can also always unlock and change the edit the due date here, but that's another way to do it.
Great. So I could just assign it to that one particular student, you know, and just go in and reassign it again to one particular student.
Yes.
All right, so here's part 2. This was the other big one. Can you show us one more time how I can share a rubric amongst, you know, other teachers? If I've created this really great rubric, or we've come together as a PLC and created this really great rubric, how would I share that?
Sure. Okay, so 2 different ways to do it. So looking at, where's my rubric? Okay, so here I am. I can go to edit assignment, and there's the TDA rubric. I can open it, and there it populates for me. I think this is the place that makes the most sense to me. But so you go to the assignment there where the rubric was attached, and you select download as a CSV. It downloads.
What is CSV? Is that
Oh,
like CVS?
Yeah, well, when I was practicing, I said CVS, and I was like, that's not right. So it is basically a plain text Excel doc. So an Excel document can have multiple sheets to it, but a CSV file is a spreadsheet, but that can only have 1 sheet. And this is basically how a lot of the behind the scenes importing of things works. It's a CSV file. So I'll actually open it up if you want to see what it looks like. It's not pretty, but Looks like you see right here, it looks like a CSV or a Excel document. And it opened up on my other screen. And it tells you even right here, for best editing experience, go ahead and edit it in Teams. So you'll see it's really not easy to see, but, oh, excuse me. But there I've put stuff in and you can see all the things. And then what they were weighted, you don't have to mess with this. You create it in Teams, you download it right here. Then I would just share it. Send to, you can send it an email. To your cohorts, and then your cohorts would just come and create their own assignment and upload that document. Oh, there you go. So then I went share to and it opened, and I could send it to you, Mark, if you needed it for your assignment. And then you would upload it to your team.
Perfect. So then me as the teacher, once I receive that in the email and I'm creating my assignment, I would just upload that rubric.
Yep. You would go to your assignment and add rubric and upload your rubric. And then you would just drag it from wherever you saved it to.
Great. That looks great. Well, Kristen, thank you again for your presentation on rubrics and feedback and submitting assignments and how we can kind of help kids that are maybe absent or share these rubrics amongst each other. Again, thank you to our Q&A folks, Alyssa, Patrick, Marie, and Anna. You guys did a fantastic job as always. And I'm going to turn it over to Shelley.
Thanks. Great job, everyone. And thanks to Kristen. Super. Learned so much. If you want to know more about rubrics and feedback, it will take us at least 48 hours to post this video from today onto our on-demand site. And we'll also include a quiz. So if you missed it, give us at least 48 hours to get that posted. In addition, if you want to check out past sessions, you can do that. There's even some on managing assignments, quizzes, and forms. So if you want more information, definitely check out those sessions as well. But it's time to pick our winners. So Kristen, I need you to unmute and choose a number between 1 and 776.
Okay, I thought about this because I was excited. This is the first time I've got to pick a number, and I'm going to pick number 42.
Oh, wow. Okay, here we go. It's way at the bottom. Hold on.
An early bird.
Yeah, awesome. So if you're looking to do this in your sessions, other people who do this, when you get your attendance sheet, that's basically what we're doing, as everybody's kind of in a mixed order. So you're really just going by the attendance sheet. And our winner for today is Elizabeth Manning. Elizabeth Manning, you're a winner of a $10 Amazon gift card, thanks to Dorchester School District 2 and our staff development department. Paula Cooper will be getting in touch with you on that. But before we hang up today, don't leave us just yet. We're going to do a commercial on how to access our DD2 online PD portal, how to get to those quizzes. Sometimes you're having some trouble. Where do I find those? Where do I go? If you're not really sure, here's Patrick Dunn to tell you how it's done.
And Patrick may need to unmute himself so that we can see what's going on.
You are 100% correct, Mark. Thank you. Hey, everybody, it's Patrick. Sorry about that. So as I was saying while I was muted, Dr. Wilson sent out an email to your principals with all the information about the PD, and one of the links in there, I believe it's on the Word document assignment, is about all the PD that's available. And this is the document right there, the one e-learning live PD info. The tab I'm going to focus on here is this on-demand self-paced. So here's where you can look and view all the different on-demand self-paced things that are listed, and anything that has a link in this column right here are going to be the either the Microsoft Teams or the live event recordings. So this one right here is Microsoft Teams. That's going to be our Microsoft Team Classroom experience for teachers. That's actually in our DD2 Online PD team. But these shorter ones here so web.microsoft.stream is a live event. So this one, Microsoft Forms Basics using a Forms, was a live event. When you click those links, it'll take you right to the video in Microsoft Stream. And when you watch the video, so it'll go through and it'll play, which they're obviously as long as our PD events are. So it goes for about 45, this one's 52 minutes, so most of them are about 45 minutes to an hour. But this little white dot right here is where the quiz is on the video. So as you watch the video and it moves along, once you hit the white dot, it'll actually jump and show you the quiz right there in Microsoft Stream. So the quiz will actually interrupt your video. And yes, you can continue to the video, but the point would be to take the quiz. As you can see, it takes a little while for these quizzes to load. Sometimes it takes a good minute or so, and sometimes they don't load all the way. I used to have issues with Microsoft Chrome. Now, for some reason, they started working today. I have no idea why, but the quiz will load right there in your screen, and you can just scroll down and select your answers. When you're done, there's a submit button at the end, so I'm going to go ahead and actually take this quiz and show you. And no, I'm not reading. I am definitely going to not pass this quiz. But the great thing is when you get to the bottom and you submit your scores, we have a message on pretty much every single one of these quizzes that'll tell you what to do after you finish. Some people have reported that the quiz doesn't load. And while I was waiting for that to load, there's also this interactivity button here, and it shows the form right there. And if you click that, it'll go straight to the form in the window too. So if it's not loading here, go ahead and click interactivity and then click the quiz to make it load. So once I submit, it says click view results to see your score. If you did not score an 80%, review the material. One key point is, when we do the live events, your attendance gets marked in about 48 hours in ERO. But for these online quizzes, it's a manual process. So we actually have to download the content. We have to edit the file a little bit, and then we upload it into ERO. So because it's such a manual process, it can take up to 10 business days, 10 school days in order for you to get credit. So if you do take one of the quizzes, make sure you make a note, maybe put a calendar event for 10 days to make sure you've gotten your attendance. But when you do finish, you can click view results and you'll see your score right here at the top. I didn't even get a single one right. That takes skill, right, to get a 0 out of 100. But you can click a 0 out of 100 and see, which ones you got wrong. Go back to that thank you page and review the video again to find what it was that you may not have passed. And once you've reviewed the material, you can even go back to the transcript and search if you missed a question about, a specific thing. You can search a transcript and find the part in the video, and then you just click submit another response and retake the form again. So you can do that again after you review the material. Of course, the whole point is to get you to understand the material, not just, get a little checkbox in there. You can also go to our live PD recordings channel. So I followed it. It shows up right there. You can also just go to Discover, and if you click on channels, you'll see the live PD recordings somewhere in this list. So you see there's a lot in there. You may have to click show more. You could also just search right here for live PD, and you're going to see our live PD recordings, and you'll see every single live PD recording we've had. And yes, all of these that are posted in here have quizzes attached in them, just like I showed you. So it's real easy to go in there, find and get all those credits that a lot of people are looking to try and get. Just take that quiz, pass your score. You don't need to email anyone to have it reset. You don't need to do anything. The emailing whoever's on there is only if you have questions about access or something like that. So unless Shelly has something else, I'm going to go ahead and say thanks again, everybody, for coming. We appreciate you. I know this has been a little bit of an extra long one, but we wanted to make sure you're aware of these live PDs and how to get access to them. Shelly, if you don't have anything, then I think we might be good.
Yeah, no, that's good. Just remember, if you do a live PD from 3 to 4, you don't need to take a quiz. It's just if you're watching them on your own as a recorded one. So thanks, everybody. See you next time, Friday, tomorrow, for a bonus one at 3 o'clock. Kick off your Memorial Day weekend.